My chosen one, heaven has just moved in a way it has not moved before for you. Right now, at this very second, God has unlocked a file in heaven that contains your next blessing. This is not symbolic. This is not poetic language. This is spiritual reality. There is a record with your name on it. There is a document sealed with divine authority. And it has just been opened. And listen carefully, it will not stay open forever. Archangel Michael is standing near that heavenly archive, and he is not silent. He is not passive. He is urging you. He is pressing this message into your spirit because he knows something you do not yet fully understand. This file contains instructions, timing, alignment, and authorization for the next wave of blessing in your life. And there is a window, a narrow window, before it closes again. You may feel an unusual stirring in your spirit, a tension, a pull, a sudden awareness that something is shifting. That is not random. That is not emotion. That is the sound of heaven rearranging your timeline. For years, some of you have prayed the same prayer. You have cried in silence. You have wondered why doors remain closed. You have questioned why promises seem delayed. But what you did not see was that heaven was waiting for the right alignment, the right maturity, the right spiritual authority. And now something has changed. The file has been unlocked because you passed a test you didn't even know you were taking. When you chose forgiveness instead of bitterness. When you stayed faithful even when no one applauded you. When you kept believing while everything around you looked opposite of the promise. Those decisions were recorded. Every tear was recorded. Every silent act of obedience was recorded. And now the response had been authorized. But here is what makes this moment urgent. When a heavenly file is opened, it requires agreement on earth. Blessings are not forced. They are received. They are activated by awareness, by faith, by obedience. If you ignore this moment, the file does not disappear forever, but it can be sealed again for a season. That is why this message found you. Out of millions, it reached you. Because Archangel Michael has been assigned to guard the transition of this blessing into your reality. And he does not fight battles randomly. He fights when destiny is involved. You are not just stepping into something good. You are stepping into something strategic. This blessing will reposition you. It will correct delays. It will expose hidden sabotage. And which have waited. It will clarify confusion. And yes, it may reveal a truth that has been concealed around you. Not to harm you, but to free you. The reason the file was locked before is because exposure requires preparation. If truth had been revealed earlier, you might have reacted emotionally instead of spiritually. But now you are stronger. Now you are steadier. Now you are ready to handle what comes with a blessing. Because every blessing carries responsibility. And heaven does not release promotion without readiness. Let this sink in. Your name was spoken in heaven today. Not yesterday. Not next month. Today. There was movement in the spiritual realm connected specifically to you. You may feel unqualified. You may feel ordinary. But heaven did not measure the way humans measure. God measures faithfulness. And faithfulness unlocks files. Some of you have faced resistance recently. Strange delays. Unusual tension. That is because when a file is opened in heaven, opposition notices. The enemy recognizes when something significant is about to manifest. But here is the power shift. Archangel Michael does not beg without reason. He is urging you to open this message spiritually before the window closes because he knows timing is critical. There are divine moments, And then there are missed moments. This is not about fear. This is about alignment. You align by believing. You align by saying, God, if this is from you, I receive it. You align by preparing your heart. Because when the blessing manifests, it will come suddenly. It may look like an opportunity. It may look like a phone call. It may look like unexpected restoration. It may look like an answer you stopped expecting. But when it arrives, you must recognize it. And recognition requires awareness. That is why you are hearing this now. Heaven does not shout repeatedly. It whispers once clearly. And those who are spiritually awake respond. Something in your spirit knows this is not coincidence. Something in you feels the weight of these words. That is because this message is not entertainment. It is notification. The file is open. The seal is lifted. The authorization is ready. And your response determines acceleration. In the next revelation, you will understand what this file contains and why its timing is directly connected to decisions you are making right now. This is where everything begins to make sense. Beloved vessel of destiny, what is inside this heavenly file is not random favor. It is detailed instruction. It is a divine blueprint designed specifically for the season you are entering. When God unlocks a file, it contains more than a blessing. It contains timing, positioning, names, locations, conversations, and even the exposure of hidden obstacles that have been slowing you down. Right now, in the courts of heaven, your next chapter is being prepared for earthly release. And Archangel Michael is not standing idle. He is guarding the transition point between spirit and reality. He is making sure that what belongs to you is not intercepted, delayed, or corrupted by distraction. Because distraction is the number one reason heavenly files close again. Listen carefully. The file contains 3 major movements. First, erection. Something that was misaligned around you is about to be corrected. It may be a misunderstanding. It may be a financial delay. It may be a relationship dynamic that has quietly drained your peace. The correction will not feel chaotic. It will feel precise, like a key sliding perfectly into a lock. Second, revelation. A truth that has been hidden will surface, not to create drama, but to remove confusion. For months, you have sensed something was not fully clear. You felt it in your spirit, but you could not prove it. That cloud is lifting. When this revelation comes, you will realize that God was protecting you by delaying clarity until your heart was strong enough to handle it. Third, acceleration. What seemed slow will suddenly move. What felt stuck will begin to flow. Doors that appeared sealed will open with unusual ease. This is not coincidence. This is authorization. But here is the part you must understand deeply. The file responds to faith. Heaven moves when earth agrees. If you doubt every opportunity, if you shrink back when alignment appears, if you speak negatively over what God is positioning, you create hesitation in the spiritual atmosphere. The file remains open, but inactive. This is why Archangel Michael is urging you with intensity. He knows that your words over the next few days matter. He knows your reactions matter. He knows your obedience in small things will determine the speed of manifestation. You may have noticed subtle tests recently. Small irritations, minor frustrations, situations that tempted you to respond emotionally. Those were not random. They were measuring stability. Heaven needed to confirm that you would not sabotage what you prayed for. And you passed more than you realize. That is why the file unlocked. There is also something else written inside it, divine protection. When your next blessing arrives, it will attract attention. Not everyone will celebrate your shift. Not everyone will understand your elevation. But protection is already assigned. Archangel Michael has been positioned specifically because this blessing changes your trajectory. And when trajectory changes, spiritual resistance increases. But resistance does not mean defeat. It means impact. Some of you are about to step into influence you never imagined. Influence in your family. Influence in your workplace. Influence in spaces where your voice was previously ignored. That influence is part of the file. However, timing is delicate. There is a decision in front of you. It may seem small. It may feel unrelated. But it is directly connected to the activation of this blessing. If you respond with faith instead of fear, you accelerate the release. If you delay in hesitation, the window narrows. This is why this message is reaching you with urgency. Do not treat this as casual content. This is spiritual strategy. If this message is stirring your spirit, acknowledge it. Agree with it. Engage with it. When you like this video, when you share it with someone who needs confirmation, when you comment what you are believing for, you are not just supporting a channel. You are declaring alignment. You are saying, I'm ready for what heaven has opened. Subscribe if you have not yet, because this is not just information. It is preparation. Become part of this community so you stay positioned for what unfolds next. There is more unfolding in this revelation, and what you are about to understand next will connect the file directly to a specific area of your life you have been quietly worried about. Hold on, because the next insight will make everything clearer than you expected. Faithful heart, there is a specific area of your life that this unlocked file is targeting, and you have felt the pressure there more than anywhere else. It is the place where you have whispered, God, when will this change? It is the area where silence felt louder than answers. That is not accidental. That is the exact location where heaven is now focusing its attention. Inside this open file is a divine reversal. Something that appeared final was never meant to end the way it did. Something that looked closed was only paused. God did not forget you. He was documenting every detail, lining unseen pieces, and preparing the right moment for intervention. And now that moment has arrived. Archangel Michael is not only guarding this blessing, he is also guarding the exposure that comes with it. Because for your next level to manifest, something hidden must be revealed. A misunderstanding must be cleared. A masked intention must come into the light. A quiet manipulation must lose its influence. You may have sensed that someone around you was not fully transparent. You felt it but questioned yourself. You wondered if you were overthinking. The file contains clarity. And when clarity arrives, you will not feel anger. You will feel relief. Because confusion drains strength, and heaven is removing what drains you. But here is the deeper revelation. The blessing is not just material. It is structural. It rearranges your environment. It shifts who has access to you. It alters the conversations that define your future. It redefines your boundaries. God is not only blessing you, He is repositioning you. There are names written inside that file. Connections you have not yet met. Opportunities that will seem natural but are divinely orchestrated. The reason the file was sealed until now is because those names were not ready either. Alignment requires all parties to reach the appointed moment. And that appointed moment is now unfolding. Some of you have felt sudden emotional sensitivity in recent days. Memories resurfacing. Old wounds briefly reopening. That is not regression. That is release. Heaven cannot pour new oil into a heart still holding hidden grief. The file unlocked because your heart has matured enough to let go without resentment. Archangel Michael stands in spiritual authority, but he also moves in obedience. He does not act outside divine command. If he is urging you, it means the command hath been issued. The question is not whether the blessing exists. The question is whether you will step fully into agreement. Agreement is more than belief. It is preparation. It is speaking differently. It is refusing to entertain thoughts that contradict what God is unlocking. It is cleaning emotional clutter. It is choosing discipline where you once chose delay. Because once this file activates completely, things will move quickly. There will be no time for self-doubt. No time for overanalyzing. No time for fear-based retreat. Heaven responds to readiness, and readiness is visible. You may soon receive confirmation in a subtle form, a conversation that feels timely, a message that arrives unexpectedly, a shift in someone's behavior that signals change. Do not dismiss small signs. The file does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it whispers before it manifests. This is your moment to stay spiritually alert, not anxious, not pressured. Alert. There is also a restoration written into this file. Something you thought was permanently lost will return in a new form. Not exactly as before, but healthier, clearer, stronger. God does not restore to repeat old cycles. He restores to upgrade. And when this restoration comes, you will realize that the delay was protection. Protection from settling. Protection from misalignment. Protection from stepping into something before it was ready to sustain you. Archangel Michael is ensuring that what arrives next has stability. Because blessing without stability becomes burden. But this time, the foundation has been secured in the unseen realm. Take a deep breath and receive this truth. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. Your file was not lost. It was sealed for the perfect moment. And that moment has begun. Now respond in faith. Speak life over your future. Expect movement. Prepare practically and spiritually. Create space for change. Release attachment to what cannot go where you are going. The window is open. Heaven is watching your response. Type "I receive" the open file in the comments if this message resonates in your spirit. Blessing code 3942 has just been released over your life. And as this code is activated, understand something powerful. When you sow into the spreading of this word, you are not giving to a platform. You are watering souls that are desperate for divine clarity. The Lord declares, as you sow beside still waters, I will cause rivers to rise where there was drought. If this message ignited faith inside you, act on it. Send a super thanks. Join the membership. Release a seed through the PayPal link in the description. This is not a donation. It is a prophetic response to an open heaven. As you give, expect acceleration. As you sow light, expect harvest. Step into obedience now and watch what God unlocks next. Anointed listener, there is something you must understand right now. When God unlocks a file in heaven, it does not only affect your external life. It begins by adjusting your internal atmosphere. Before the blessing becomes visible around you, it becomes undeniable within you. Have you noticed a new awareness rising inside your spirit? A quiet boldness that was not there before. A subtle refusal to tolerate what once drained you. That is not personality change. That is preparation. The file that was opened is already reshaping your inner world. Archangel Michael is assigned to moments of transition. He appears in Scripture when territory is shifting, when battles determine destiny, when divine order confronts hidden opposition. If he is near your situation, it is because what is happening is not small, is territorial, is generational, is bigger than a single event. The blessing inside this file does not only lift you, it breaks a pattern. Some cycles that operated quietly in your family line are losing permission. Patterns of delay. Patterns of near success but not completion. Patterns of instability that repeated year after year. Heaven recorded those cycles, and now heaven is interrupting them. But interruption feels uncomfortable before it feels victorious. You may experience sudden separation from familiar environments. Conversations may feel different. Old friendships may feel distant. It may seem as if certain doors are closing at the same time new ones have not yet fully opened. Do not panic in this in-between space. The file contains transition instructions. When heaven upgrades your level, it must disconnect you from spaces that cannot sustain your next dimension. This is not rejection. This is refinement. There is also a financial alignment written into this blessing. Not just money, but stewardship, wisdom, strategy, an idea that carries multiplication potential. Some of you have been underestimating a skill you carry. You treated it as ordinary because it comes naturally to you. But what is natural to you may be rare to others. The file contains activation for that gift. You will begin to see opportunity where you once saw routine. And when it appears, it may not look grand at first. It may appear small, even insignificant. But divine acceleration often enters quietly before it expands publicly. Archangel Michael stands guard because whenever provision shifts, opposition attempts distraction. Be mindful of sudden unnecessary arguments. Be mindful of emotional traps designed to drain your focus. The enemy cannot close what God has opened, but he will attempt to delay it through your reaction. Your discipline in this season matters. Respond slower. Pray deeper. Speak less but with intention. There is also emotional healing being finalized in this file. You forgave but you did not fully release. You move on, but a fragment of hurt still lingered. God is sealing that wound completely. When this healing completes, you will notice something powerful. Triggers that once affected you will lose their intensity. That is how you know the file is activating. Because freedom feels lighter than you expected. This blessing is not about proving others wrong. It is about positioning you right. Some of you have been trying to defend yourself in situations where God was asking you to be silent. The exposure written in the file does not require your effort. Truth reveals itself when the time is aligned. Your responsibility is obedience, not defense. And here is another hidden detail. There is a conversation scheduled in your near future that will carry confirmation. It may seem ordinary at first, but pay attention to repeated words. Pay attention to unusual statements. But often hides confirmation inside casual exchanges. The file does not only open opportunities. You open the perception. You will begin to see what you previously overlooked. You will detect motives faster. You will discern alignment quicker. That is not suspicion. That is sharpened discernment. Archangel Michael is not begging you out of desperation. He is urging you because awareness activates authority. If you walk through this season unaware, you may misinterpret divine movement as inconvenience. Do not mislabel transition as trouble. Do not mislabel correction as loss. Do not mislabel exposure as chaos. Everything unfolding is structured. The file was not opened impulsively. It was opened strategically. There will also be a moment of decision approaching. A choice between comfort and calling. Comfort will feel safe because it is familiar. Calling will feel uncertain because it is new. But the blessing is attached to calling. If you choose comfort, the file remains partially activated. If you choose calling, acceleration intensifies. Heaven is not forcing you. Heaven is inviting you. You asked for growth. You prayed for increase. You requested elevation. Now elevation requires courage. Feel the shift happening inside you right now. That quiet strength. That subtle confidence. That sense that something significant is unfolding. You are not imagining it. The file is open. The blessing is moving. And your spirit is being prepared to carry what is coming next. Receive it with maturity. Step forward with faith. And remain alert, because what unfolds next will reveal why this season had to begin exactly this way. Precious soul under divine watch, there is a reason the pressure increased just before this breakthrough. Whenever heaven unlocks a file connected to destiny, there is often a final wave of resistance. Not because the blessing is fragile, but because the transition is powerful. The enemy senses movement before you do. He detects authorization before manifestation. The tension you felt recently was not a sign of defeat. It was a signal that something significant had been approved. Inside this open file is not only promotion, but separation. Not punishment, not rejection, but holy separation. Some associations cannot travel where you are being positioned. Some voices that once influenced you cannot guide you in this next season. God is not removing people to leave you empty. He is removing interference so clarity can increase. Archangel Michael stands at the intersection of warfare and fulfillment. He does not only defend, he clears pathways. And right now, pathways are being cleared in places you cannot yet see. Conversations that could have blocked you are being redirected. Plans formed against you are losing momentum. Silent misunderstandings are dissolving before they reach you. But here is what you must guard carefully, your perception. When change begins, it rarely announces itself loudly. It feels like subtle rearrangement, a shift in schedule, a delay that unexpectedly protects you, a door that closes gently instead of dramatically. Do not rush to label these movements as setbacks. The file contains precise timing. If something is delayed, it is because alignment is still completing on the other side. You may also experience moments of deep reflection. Old memories resurfacing, not to torment you, but to show you how far you have come. There was a version of you who would have reacted differently. A version who would have chased validation, argued for understanding, forced doors open. But you are no longer that person. Maturity unlocked this file, and maturity sustains what blessing brings. There is a financial dimension woven into this next season. Not just provision, but stability. Not just increase, but structure. Some of you are about to receive insight about managing resources in a way that multiplies them. The file does not only release money, it releases wisdom. Because sudden increase without wisdom leads to instability, and heaven does not intend to elevate you temporarily. Archangel Michael is guarding against premature exposure. There are ideas forming in your mind that you have not shared with anyone. Protect them. Not everything needs public validation in its early stage. Seeds grow underground before they break through the surface. Silence in this season is strategic. You will also notice a change in your tolerance. Things that once felt acceptable will now feel misaligned. Conversations that once entertained you will feel empty. Environments that once felt normal will now feel heavy. This is not arrogance. This is elevation. When your frequency shifts, your comfort zone shifts with it. The file also contains reconciliation in an unexpected area. not necessarily restoring something exactly as it was, but restoring peace. You will be able to think about a certain situation without emotional disturbance. That peace is evidence that God has completed internal healing before external blessing. There is another layer you must hear clearly. Timing will feel accelerated once the first visible sign appears. For a while, it will seem like nothing is happening. Then suddenly, multiple confirmations will arrive close together. This is how heaven moves. Quiet preparation followed by visible momentum. Be careful not to grow impatient in the quiet phase, because impatience can create premature decisions, and premature decisions can complicate simple blessings. Archangel Michael is urging steadiness, not rush, not force, not anxiety. Steadiness attracts divine precision. When you remain grounded, you recognize opportunity clearly instead of emotionally. You may soon encounter a test disguised as an opportunity. It will look appealing, but it will not align with the deeper peace inside you. This is a discernment checkpoint. The real blessing will carry clarity and calm, not confusion and pressure. Learn to distinguish between urgency driven by fear and urgency driven by divine timing. Heaven is not asking you to strive. It is asking you to stay aligned. The file remains open because your heart posture remains receptive. Continue guarding your thoughts. Continue choosing faith over speculation. Continue acting with integrity even when no one sees. What is coming will require integrity. Promotion without character collapses quickly. But your character has been refined in hidden seasons. That is why this blessing can sustain itself. Take note of your dreams in this period. Not every dream is symbolic, but some will carry guidance. A word repeated. A location highlighted. A familiar face appearing in an unusual context. Sometimes heaven whispers through subtle impressions before speaking through visible events. The pressure you felt was not punishment. It was preparation. The silence you endured was not abandonment. It was alignment. And the file that has been unlocked is not temporary favor. It is the beginning of a structural shift in your life. Stand firm. Remain aware. Guard your peace. Because what unfolds next will require courage, and courage is already rising within you. Steadfast warrior of faith, the moment you have been sensing is closer than you think. There is a tightening in the spiritual atmosphere, not to suffocate you, but to concentrate your focus. When heaven prepares to release what has been authorized, distractions increase. Noise grows louder. Minor issues attempt to appear larger than they are. This is not coincidence. It is strategy designed to pull your attention away from what truly matters. The file that God unlocked is still open, but now it is entering its activation phase. Activation is different from approval. Approval happens in heaven. Activation requires cooperation on earth. That is why your thoughts, your reactions, and your decisions in the coming days carry unusual weight. Archangel Michael is positioned not only as a guardian, but as a witness. He is watching how you handle pressure. He is observing whether you default to fear or remain anchored in faith. Because what is coming next will amplify whatever foundation you stand on. There is a conversation approaching that will test your maturity. It may involve someone who once doubted you. It may involve authority. It may involve an unexpected offer. In that moment, humility will be your strength. You do not need to prove your worth. Your preparation has already proven it. Be aware of the temptation to revisit old habits. When breakthrough is near, the past often tries one last time to reclaim you. Old thinking patterns, old coping mechanisms, old emotional triggers. Do not entertain them. They no longer fit who you are becoming. The file contains elevation, but elevation requires shedding weight. Some internal narratives must end now. The story that says you are always overlooked. The belief that good things pass you by. The quiet assumption that you must struggle longer than others. These narratives cannot travel into your next season. Heaven has rewritten your internal script, and now you must agree with it. There is also divine timing attached to a specific day. You may not know which day it is yet, but it is marked. When that day arrives, something will align with surprising ease. What once felt complicated will feel simple. What once required force will require only obedience. Archangel Michael is clearing unseen resistance around that moment. That is why you must remain spiritually sharp. Not anxious. Not restless. Sharp. Guard your words carefully. Words create atmosphere. Atmosphere influences manifestation. Speak expectation, not doubt. Speak alignment, not frustration. Even in private, even in casual conversation, remain consistent with what you believe God is doing. You may notice people reacting differently to you. Some will show unexpected respect. Others may display subtle discomfort. Do not take either personally. When your spiritual authority increases, it shifts how others perceive you. This is not ego. It is presence. And presence attracts attention. There is also instruction regarding generosity in this season. Not only financial generosity, but generosity of spirit. To give quickly. Encourage sincerely. Support where you feel led. The file contains multiplication, and multiplication flows through open hands. Now hear this clearly. If this message is confirming what your spirit has already been sensing, engage with it. Like this video as an act of agreement. Share it with someone who needs reassurance that heaven is moving. Comment what you are believing for so your declaration becomes visible. Subscribe and become part of this growing community of faith so you remain positioned for what unfolds next. There is power in collective expectation, and something significant is building here. But stay focused, because what you are about to understand next will reveal the hidden reason this blessing was delayed longer than you expected. You will see that the delay was not denial. It was design. And once you grasp that truth, your patience will transform into gratitude. Archangel Michael is urging endurance just a little longer. Not because the blessing is far, but because the final alignment is delicate. Think of it as a lock turning slowly before it clicks open. That click is coming. You may feel moments of deep peace subtly interrupting your day. That peace is confirmation. It is heaven's whisper saying, stay steady, stay aligned, stay ready. There will also be a visible sign soon. Not dramatic but undeniable. When it appears, you will remember these words. You will realize that the file truly was opened, that the urging was real, that the shift was not imagination. Do not underestimate small beginnings. The first sign may appear ordinary, but treat it with reverence. Acknowledge it. Thank God for it, because gratitude accelerates continuation. The activation phase has begun. The window remains open, and your consistency in this final stretch will determine the speed of what manifests next. Hold your ground. Protect your peace. Speak life. And prepare, because what is about to unfold will confirm that heaven never lost your file, never forgot your prayers, and never delayed without purpose. The turning point is closer than you realize. Chosen one standing at the edge of change. The atmosphere around you is no longer the same. Something invisible has shifted, and even if you cannot explain it logically, you can feel it spiritually. This is the quiet moment before manifestation becomes visible. The file that was unlocked in heaven is now influencing events in subtle but undeniable ways. You may have noticed increased clarity in your thoughts. Decisions that once felt confusing are now becoming simple. Situations that once felt emotionally heavy are losing their grip. That is not coincidence. That is confirmation that internal alignment has taken place. Archangel Michael remains stationed at this transition point because what is unfolding is not temporary encouragement. It is structural change. The blessing inside that heavenly file is not meant to decorate your life. It is meant to redefine it. There is something important you must recognize. The delay you experienced was building endurance. Without endurance, you would have mishandled acceleration. And acceleration is coming. But acceleration without discernment can feel overwhelming. This is why you have been trained in patience. This is why you endured seasons of silence. This is why doors closed that you thought were perfect for you. Heaven was protecting the larger design. There is also a relational shift embedded in this blessing. Someone who underestimated you will begin to see you differently. Not because you demanded recognition, but because your consistency has become undeniable. Your quiet growth has spoken louder than arguments ever could. At the same time, someone new may enter your life carrying confirmation. This person will not need lengthy explanation to understand your vision. There will be immediate resonance. Pay attention to that connection. It may not look extraordinary at first, but it will carry unusual ease. Archangel Michael is ensuring that these connections are not forced. Divine alignment never requires manipulation. It flows naturally, even when it stretches you. There is also a financial and vocational pivot unfolding. You may feel prompted to explore an idea you previously dismissed. You may sense a nudge to refine a skill or revisit a plan you abandoned. Do not ignore that nudge. The file contains innovation. It contains creative direction. It contains provision connected to obedience. But here is the key. You must move when prompted. Not impulsively, not recklessly, but decisively. There will be a moment when hesitation tries to return. A thought may whisper, "What if this fails?" That thought is residue from your past season. It does not belong in your future. Replace it with truth. If God authorized it, you will sustain it. The exposure written into this file is also nearing visibility. A truth will surface that clarifies why certain obstacles persisted. When that truth appears, resist the urge to react emotionally. Receive it calmly. It is not being revealed to provoke you. It is being revealed to free you. Freedom is part of this blessing. Not just success. Not just increase. Freedom. Freedom from second-guessing yourself. Freedom from striving for approval. Freedom from carrying responsibilities that were never assigned to you. Archangel Michael does not fight for small matters. He engages when destiny is involved, and your destiny has entered a decisive phase. You may also feel a desire to simplify your life, to remove clutter, to organize your environment. That impulse is spiritual preparation. Physical order creates mental clarity. Mental clarity supports spiritual sensitivity. There is wisdom in preparing practically for what you are praying spiritually. Do not wait for the blessing to arrive before you create space for it. Create space now. Emotionally, physically, mentally. There will also be a test of humility. When the first visible sign appears, you may feel the temptation to announce it prematurely. Resist that urge. Allow the blessing to root itself before you broadcast it. What grows in quiet strength lasts longer. The file is still open. The activation is progressing. And the final adjustments are being made. You are not waiting in uncertainty. You are standing in transition. There is a difference. Waiting feels passive. Transition is active. Even when you cannot see movement, preparation is happening beneath the surface. Very soon, something tangible will confirm everything you have sensed. A shift in status. A shift in opportunity. A shift in perception. And when it happens, you will realize that every delay, every frustration, every quiet tear was building toward this alignment. Remain steady. Remain grateful. Remain alert. Because what unfolds next will not only confirm the open file in heaven, it will demonstrate that divine timing never fails. And when the manifestation begins, you will understand why this moment had to unfold exactly the way it did. Beloved carrier of promise, the shift you have been sensing is no longer distant. It is approaching the visible realm. What was authorized in heaven is now pressing against the surface of your reality, ready to break through. This is the stage where faith must remain stronger than emotion. There is a sacred tension in this moment. You may feel excitement mixed with uncertainty, hope blended with caution. That mixture does not mean something is wrong. It means something is about to change permanently. Archangel Michael stands at this threshold because thresholds determine direction. Once you cross into this next phase, you will not return to who you were. The blessing inside that open file is not temporary relief. It is a redirection of your path. The exposure written into this season is now aligning with divine timing. A hidden detail will come to light in a way that feels almost effortless. You will not have to chase the truth. You will surface. And when it does, you will feel clarity rather than chaos. God waited until your heart was steady enough to receive it without reacting destructively. The clarity will answer questions you carried silently. It will confirm instincts you doubted. It will close internal debates that drained your peace. And with that clarity will co-release. There is also a repositioning in your environment. Some opportunities will quietly fade, not because they were bad, but because they were limited. You are being moved toward expansion. Expansion requires letting go of smaller containers. Do not grew what I grew you. Honor it. Learn from it. Release it. Archangel Michael is guarding against fear-based decisions during this repositioning. When familiar structures shift, the human instinct is to cling. But clinging can delay what God is advancing. The blessing in the file carries influence. Your voice will carry more weight. Your presence will shift rooms. Your ideas will gain traction. This may feel unfamiliar at first. You may question whether you are ready. But readiness was confirmed before the file was unlocked. You were not chosen randomly. You were refined intentionally. There is also relational realignment happening. One connection will deepen significantly, becoming a source of strength and understanding. Another connection may distance naturally. Do not force either direction. Alignment does not require control. You will also receive confirmation through repetition. The same theme appearing in different conversations. The same word surfacing in unrelated contexts. The same idea returning to your mind persistently. Repetition is heaven's way of underlining importance. Pay attention. This is not a season to move carelessly. It is a season to move consciously. The financial dimension of this blessing is becoming clearer. An idea, a partnership, or a door that once seemed unreachable will become accessible. But it will require courage to step forward. Fear will whisper about risk. Faith will remind you of authorization. Choose faith, because authorization eliminates uncertainty. Archangel Michael is not only defending you from opposition, he is ensuring that what arrives aligns with your destiny, not just your desire. There is a difference. Desire can be emotional. Destiny is strategic. You are being positioned strategically. Very soon, there will be a visible shift that confirms everything spoken over you in this season. It may be subtle to others, but unmistakable to you. And when it appears, respond with gratitude instead of shock. You have been prepared for this. Take a moment now and declare your agreement. Type "I step into divine alignment" in the comments if this message resonates with your spirit. Blessing code 5821 has just been activated over your life. And as this blessing code flows through your season, understand that your response carries power beyond your own life. When you sow into this mission through super thanks, membership, or a PayPal seed found in the description, you are not funding a channel. You are lighting lamps in dark places. The Lord declares, "As you release seed into my work, I will cause oil to overflow in your house." If this message strengthens you, act on that stirring. Become part of the river that carries this word to souls who are waiting for confirmation. Do not hesitate in holy obedience. As you give, expect open heavens. As you sow light, expect harvest without delay. Move now, and let your generosity become part of your prophetic alignment. Faithful one, marked for transition. You are now standing in the final stretch before visible manifestation. The internal shifts have taken place. The spiritual authorization has been confirmed. The exposure has aligned with timing. What remains is the outward expression of what heaven has already completed. There is a quiet confidence growing inside you. It is not loud or arrogant. It is steady. It feels different from past hope because this time it carries weight. That weight is evidence. When God unlocks a file and keeps it open through multiple stages, it means the blessing is not theoretical. It is scheduled. Archangel Michael remains positioned because this is the phase where subtle attacks attempt to provoke reaction. Not large dramatic disruptions, but small irritations. A misunderstood message. A delayed response. A comment that tries to question your direction. These are distractions. Do not allow them to redirect your focus. Your greatest strength in this moment is composure. Composure protects clarity. Clarity protects momentum. Momentum carries manifestation. The file that was opened contains a final alignment involving authority. This may involve someone in leadership, someone with influence, or even an official decision that affects your future. When this alignment occurs, it will feel smoother than expected. That smoothness is confirmation that heaven prepared the path in advance. You will not need to fight for it. You will not need to manipulate it. You will simply need to step into it. There is also a restoration of reputation woven into this blessing. If your character was questioned unfairly in the past, if your intentions were misunderstood, if your silence was misinterpreted as weakness, that narrative is being corrected. Not through argument, but through evidence. Your consistency has been speaking behind the scenes, and now it will speak publicly. Archangel Michael is ensuring that vindication comes in a way that strengthens you rather than inflates you. Vindication without humility can create pride, but you have been refined enough to handle honor without losing balance. There is also a moment of decision approaching that will define the pace of your next season. It will not look dramatic. It may appear like a simple yes or no, but it will carry long-term impact. When that moment arrives, do not consult fear. Consult peace. Peace is your compass. If it feels forced, wait. If it feels aligned, move. The financial aspect of this blessing is also about to show its first visible sign. It may begin as a single opportunity rather than multiple streams. Do not underestimate small beginnings. What starts focused often expands later. There will be an invitation that stretches you slightly beyond comfort. It may require visibility. It may require stepping into a space where you were once overlooked. Accept it. Growth rarely feels comfortable at first. At the same time, guard against overcommitment. When new doors open, it can be tempting to say yes to everything. But wisdom says choose what aligns most directly with your calling. Archangel Michael is not only fighting for opportunity. He's guarding your capacity. You are not meant to carry everything. You are meant to carry what was assigned. You may also notice a shift in your emotional resilience. Situations that once overwhelmed you now feel manageable. It is proof that internal transformation preceded external blessing. God does not expand territory without strengthening the foundation. There is something else you must hear clearly. Gratitude will accelerate this season. Not performative gratitude. Not forced positivity. Genuine acknowledgement that God moved when you could not see it. Take time to reflect on how far you have come. Recognize the prayers that were answered quietly. Honor the lessons learned in hidden seasons. When gratitude becomes your default response, fear loses influence. The window that was opened and not closed. It is widening. The activation is nearly complete. Very soon, there will be a defining confirmation. A moment where you realize the shift is undeniable. It may arrive through conversation, through email, through opportunity, through reconciliation, or through provision. However it arrives, it will carry clarity. When it does, resist the urge to rush ahead. Pause, acknowledge, pray, and proceed. Archangel Michael remains vigilant, but the intensity of warfare is decreasing. That is because victory has already been secured in the unseen realm. What you are about to witness is simply the manifestation of what was decided earlier. You are not chasing a blessing. You are stepping into one that has already been assigned. Remain steady in these final moments. Guard your peace. Choose faith over speculation. And prepare your heart, because what unfolds next will confirm beyond doubt that the file opened in heaven was not symbolic. It was specific. It was intentional. And it was always meant for you. Courageous soul on the brink of fulfillment, you are now entering the hour where what was invisible begins to take form. The file that God unlocked in heaven has moved through preparation, exposure, correction, and alignment. Now it approaches manifestation. This is the stage where faith must become action. There will be a tangible sign very soon. Not imagination. Not assumption. Tangible. It may arrive in a way that seems ordinary to others, but to you it will feel like confirmation echoing through your spirit. When it happens, something inside you will say, "This is it." Archangel Michael remains present because manifestation often attracts final resistance. Not strong enough to stop you, but subtle enough to test your focus. You may encounter sudden distractions, unexpected demands on your time, conversations that attempt to pull you back into old patterns. Stay anchored. Do not allow temporary noise to interrupt permanent change. The blessing inside this file is multidimensional. It affects your environment, your influence, your provision, and your perception. But it also affects your identity. You will begin to see yourself differently. Not through insecurity, not through comparison, but through clarity. Clarity changes posture. You will speak with more certainty. You will decide with more confidence. You will walk with more authority, and others will notice. There is also a divine restructuring happening around your schedule. Pay attention to cancellations and rearrangements. What seems inconvenient may actually be protection. What appears delayed may be redirection. Heaven's timing is exact, even when it interrupts your plan. Archangel Michael is ensuring that nothing interferes with the appointed moment. The door that is meant for you will not require manipulation. It will open because authorization has already been issued. There is a specific opportunity connected to your calling that will require boldness. It may ask you to step forward publicly. It may ask you to lead rather than follow. It may ask you to trust your preparation instead of seeking constant reassurance. Say yes when peace confirms it. This is not the season to shrink. It is the season to step fully into what you prayed for. At the same time, remain grounded. Success without humility can create instability. Remember the silent seasons that shaped you. Remember the nights when no one saw your faithfulness. Let those memories keep you balanced. You may also experience reconciliation in an area you had released internally. A conversation may occur that restores understanding. If that happens, receive it without reopening old wounds. Closure is different from revisiting pain. Choose closure. There will be financial clarity emerging as well. An idea that once seemed uncertain will now appear viable. A resource that seemed out of reach will come within grasp. But stewardship is key. Manage wisely what begins to increase. Now, if this message has been walking alongside your spirit through these stages, engage with it intentionally. Like this video as a declaration that you are aligned. Share it with someone who needs confirmation that heaven moves with precision. Comment what you are stepping into so your faith becomes visible. Subscribe if you have not already, because staying connected in this season matters. Join the membership if you feel led, and become part of a community that refuses to miss divine timing. Something powerful is unfolding, and you will want to witness what comes next. Because what is about to unfold will tie every previous delay together into one clear picture. You will see why doors closed. You will understand why certain relationships shifted. You will recognize why patience was required. Archangel Michael is not urging you without purpose. The open file is nearing its full activation. Once manifestation begins, it will move quickly. Do not hesitate when confirmation arrives. There is also an internal shift completing within you. Fear that once lingered quietly is losing its voice. Doubt that once whispered frequently is fading. In its place is steady conviction. That conviction is evidence that heaven has already done its part. Now you must do yours. Move when prompted. Speak when directed. Rest when instructed. Yes when uncertain. The window that was opened and not closed. It is fulfilling its purpose. Very soon, you will look back at this moment and realize it was the turning point. Not dramatic, not chaotic, but decisive. Stay alert. Stay grateful. Stay obedient. Because the next movement will confirm beyond doubt that the blessing inside that heavenly file was never delayed without reason. It was reserved for this precise hour. Steady heart chosen for fulfillment. You have reached the edge of visible confirmation. Everything that has been unfolding behind the scenes is now lining in front of you. The file that was unlocked in heaven is no longer operating quietly. It is beginning to influence your physical reality in ways that cannot be dismissed. There is a shift in your atmosphere. Not chaotic, not overwhelming, but undeniable. Conversations feel different. Opportunities feel closer. Even your thoughts carry a sharper focus. This is the moment where spiritual preparation meets earthly manifestation. Archangel Michael remains positioned not because the battle is intense, but because the transition is sacred. Taken transitions require protection. When destiny pivots, Heaven guards the pivot point carefully. You may notice that something you once struggled to obtain now approaches you more easily. This is not luck. It is alignment. When alignment is complete, effort decreases and favor increases. What once required striving now requires readiness. Here is also closing occurring simultaneously with this opening. A chapter that defined you for years is quietly concluding. Not in failure, not in regret, but in completion. Completion feels peaceful. It carries closure without bitterness. Do not try to reopen what God has finished. Honor it. Learn from it. Step forward from it. The blessing within the open file is now preparing to anchor itself in your life. Anchoring means stability. It means this is not a temporary surge of momentum. It is a structural shift that establishes new normal. You will soon realize that what once felt extraordinary will become consistent. That is how true blessing operates. It does not flash and disappear. It roots and grows. Archangel Michael is ensuring that this anchoring is not disrupted by emotional reaction. Stay composed when the first major sign appears. There may be excitement. There may be relief. There may even be tears. But remain grounded. This is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of expansion. There is also a lesson woven into this final phase. God wanted you to learn dependence before elevation. In the quiet seasons, when nothing seemed to move, you learned to pray without visible reward. You learned to trust without immediate confirmation. That discipline is what sustains you now. Because elevation without dependence creates pride, and pride destabilizes blessing. But you have been refined. You have been humbled in hidden ways. You have been strengthened where no one saw. Now the visible fruit can emerge safely. There is one more decision approaching. It will require courage but not recklessness. It will require faith but not blindness. When it arrives, remember how far you have come. Remember the confirmations that led you here. Do not shrink back into old insecurity. Your identity has evolved. You are not who you were when this process began. The exposure that occurred earlier in this season served its purpose. It cleared confusion. It revealed truth. It removed interference. And now there is clarity where there was once doubt. And clarity is a gift. You will soon witness a moment where something aligns so perfectly that you cannot deny divine orchestration. It may involve timing that seems too precise to be accidental. It may involve a conversation that answers multiple questions at once. It may involve provision that arrives exactly when needed. When that moment happens, pause internally and acknowledge it. Recognize that heaven moved intentionally. Archangel Michael has guarded this entire transition. But as manifestation completes, his role shifts from defense to observation. The battle is no longer about gaining access. Access has been granted. Now it is about stewardship. How you handle what arrives will determine the longevity of this season. Stay humble. Stay generous. Stay attentive to God's voice even when things feel stable. Stability does not eliminate the need for sensitivity. In fact, stability increases responsibility. You are stepping into a level where your influence will extend beyond your immediate circle. Others will look to you for guidance. Others will draw strength from your testimony. Be mindful of that influence. The open file was never only about you. It was about impact. You have endured enough to carry that impact responsibly. Now breathe deeply and recognize this truth. You are no longer waiting for confirmation. You are standing in it. The shift is here. The manifestation is unfolding. And the final revelation will tie everything together in a way that leaves no doubt that heaven orchestrated every detail from beginning to end. Victorious child of divine timing, this is the culmination of what heaven began when that file was unlocked. What was once spoken in the unseen realm has now crossed into your visible life. The authorization has become manifestation. The preparation has become possession. The waiting has become witnessing. Look closely at what has shifted around you. There is evidence. It may not look dramatic to others, but to you it carries unmistakable confirmation. A door opened that once resisted you. A conversation aligned at the exact right moment. A provision arrived when pressure was highest. A truth surfaced that freed your mind completely. This is the file unfolding in real time. Archangel Michael stood guard at the threshold, not because the blessing was fragile, but because it was valuable. And now that it has crossed into your reality, you must guard it with wisdom. You are not who you were when this began. At the start, you carried questions. Now you carry confirmation. At the start, you carried uncertainty. Now you carry conviction. At the start, you were hoping something would change. Now you are watching it change. This is what divine timing feels like. It does not rush. It does not panic. It aligns. It prepares. And then it releases. The exposure that occurred earlier in this season was not meant to harm you. It was meant to clear your path. What was hidden had to be revealed so that your foundation would be clean. What was misaligned had to be corrected so that your elevation would be stable. And now stability surrounds you. There may still be small adjustments ahead, but the major shift has already occurred. You are standing in a new chapter. The blessing inside that heavenly file was not temporary relief. It was structural transformation. Your finances are thinking differently. Your relationships are aligning differently. Your confidence is standing differently. Your faith is operating differently. This is not coincidence. This is orchestration. Archangel Michael does not guard moments that lack purpose. He stands where destiny pivots, and your destiny has pivoted. But hear this final instruction clearly. Do not grow casual with what God has established. Honor it. Protect it. Steward it. Continue praying even though the breakthrough has arrived. Continue seeking even though clarity has come. Continue walking humbly even though doors have opened. Because the same obedience that unlocked the file is the obedience that sustains the blessing. There will come a day very soon when you look back at this exact moment and realize it with a dividing line between who you were and who you became. Not because everything changed overnight, but because something irreversible shifted within you. You now know that heaven moves with precision. You now know that delay does not equal denial. You now know that when God unlocks something, no force can permanently close it. The window that opened did not close against you. It fulfilled its assignment. And now you stand on the other side of it. Take a breath and seal this moment with agreement. Type IT is unlocked in my life in the comments if you receive this fulfillment. Blessing code 9077 is now sealed over your season. And as this final confirmation settles in your spirit, hear this clearly. When you sow into this mission through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are not supporting a video. You are fueling open heavens for countless souls who are still waiting for their file to be unlocked. The Lord declares over you, as you bring your offering into my storehouse, I will open the windows of heaven and pour out blessing you cannot contain. If your spirit has whispered, I want to help this word reach others, that is your moment. Act on it. Release your seed as a prophetic response, not as a casual donation. As you give, may oil overflow in your house, may doors multiply before you, and may your obedience echo in eternity. Move now, and let your generosity become the next key that unlocks someone else's breakthrough.